If I'ma start it, you know I'ma finish it. I'ma show all of you folk with the businesses. Walk off the court into multiple businesses. That's a crossover. I'm shooting, I'm swishing it. This about legacy. This about lineage. This generational. Make sure we plenty rich. Make sure my kids ain't got a penny pinch. They wanna.
Welcome to another episode of More Than 94, where former athletes redefine success. Today's guest, we have Mr. What's Your Self-Talk himself, Jahbari McLennan. What's up, Jahbari? You finally made it to the podcast.
I did. It is an honor. It is a great honor to actually be on More Than 94. So thank you for having me. Humbled, ma'am. Humbled.
All right. So obviously, I'm your spouse. I'm your wife. But for those that don't know, walk us through sports, like from Little League up until you to college. Short version, not too super long, but just for those that don't know your story, walk us through that.
Yes, as I've been instructed to be very concise, so I will do, because I'm the talkative one of relationship, as you can see. But starting off, when it came to sports, I think it goes back for me. Baseball actually was my first sport that I really did play. A lot of people don't know that. Me and my dad used to always train every Sunday. Like, we would do baseball pretty much every day. And I didn't really start exploring any other sports until I probably got into middle school, because at that time you start having peers, you start having other friends you playing with, you start seeing them consistent. And from there, we had a real good middle school team. We were championship both year. I went to school in Austin, Texas. And then eventually I went to high school, and high school was John H. Reagan. So from there, I played basketball, I ran track, I played football, but eventually I honed in on football right on my sophomore, junior year. And from there, I got to my senior year. This was the disappointing part. I can hit on this in any way you want to, man. But I end up realizing, having my senior year in high school, I ended up having to go to junior college. So junior college, from there, I played 2 years in junior college, and it was in Trinity Valley Community College. And then from there, great relationships were made in junior college. I ended up coming to Arkansas State University, where I transferred, and then I met this lovely lady that's on the screen with right now. And so we met, but also played sports. And eventually, I remember I had a choice. It was a real defining moment for me. And as a believer, it was hard because I had to make a choice, because my identity has been wrapped up so much in, you had to make it professional, you had to make it in sports. And at that year, real quick whether if you've done the work and you got the stats that it's going to get you to the league. And I had injuries and I had some good games, but I didn't have an outstanding senior year. And then two, I was really being discipled on what it means to be a believer in Jesus. And I was really starting to wrestle with my true identity. Do you have to make it? So anyways, I eventually walked away from trying to go the professional route. I had an opportunity to train with someone. At the time, we were living in Arkansas, Jonesboro, Arkansas. I was going to travel to Fayetteville, Arkansas, where a great buddy of mine was going to help me train and get ready for pro day. And I decided in that moment not to go. So pretty
Was
much.
that Brandon Kennedy at that time?
I was I forgot BK was on here. So Brandon Kennedy was actually, he was training. He actually had his own gym, if I remember correctly, or he was the owner or partner of a gym. I can't remember the details, but yeah, he was actually in Fayetteville, and he was like, "Hey man, you can come down here on the weekends." And I just remember them asking me. I remember them saying, "Okay, when you're a college student at that time, it was no NIL deals." So let me just make it clear. Yeah. So we had pay checks, and I actually had a part-time job as a bank teller, and I didn't work in the weekends, but they were like, "How you gonna pay for this? You gotta pay for gas, you gotta pay for lodging, you have to pay for a lot of different things." For me, I ended up deciding I was gonna walk away. And like I said, I can really lean into a lot of that story, but that's basically how I transitioned to the business world. So now I'm a full-time real estate agent and investor, and I coach. And a lot at that time, I wouldn't say I knew I was going to be in real estate, but I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. And it literally, at that point, it actually, you can tell because once I decided that I was not going to be playing sports, I became this networker. And for me, I remember going to the head coach, it was Steve Roberts at the time, and I knew I wanted to be in banking. And I said, give me all the contacts of anybody you know in banking. And he gave me all the names, and I literally would go to each bank, ask for that person if they weren't there. I was just trying to find an internship. I was trying to find an opportunity to just like work because I knew like I was done with football. And eventually, one of the ladies that used to see us, it was at Regions Bank. They used to see us come in all the time because they were sponsored for the football team. And we would, as football players, go around and they would say, hey, go take them donuts or just tell them we thank you for your donation. And so just make a relationship. They, in certain ways, they've made us go out and make these relationships. So she remembered me. And I will say that was probably the best hiring process I experienced because they knew me, they knew what I stood for. But I went to probably 5 or 6 different locations throughout the Jonesboro, just trying to find any opportunity. And at that time, I was willing to just work for free just to get experience in banking. That's what it was for me.
Okay, so once the realization hit that you're about to become a whole adult, you're no longer a college adult, you're a full-blown adult, full-blown married. Walk us through like the transition, like how it, like you talked about your identity. Now your identity is no longer in football, and walk us through like how hard that was for you to like finally put them cleats down and go be out here and be a working man in society. And like, what were some of like the obstacles that you faced going, because you started at Regions, but then you progressed and went and start doing other things?
Yeah, it was interesting. I think when you start working and coming from an athletic background, like one of the things you always think about is like, hey, if I put in the work, I'm gonna get to start, I'm gonna get to play. And then the reward of itself is that. So I remember I was going part-time to full-time in banking. And I never forget, they was like, hey, and back then it was like making $9 and some odd change. And they was like, okay, if you go full time, we'll give you a 25-cent raise. And I'm like, that ain't gonna work. Because I was about to get ready to get married. I had just proposed. I was just like, that didn't sit with my spirit well. So I remember
25 cents.
No, not 20. I think it was maybe 50 cents, but I just knew.
I think you probably was like $10 an hour. You was going to 10.25.
No, it didn't even hit 10. I promise you. I remember. I'm like, dang, I can't even make it to 10. I remember thinking that in my head. So at that point, I realized like getting good pay at anywhere.
Yeah, it was in 2011. So they don't think it was 2026. It was
yeah, no, we ain't there. But and so from there, the realization started to sit in. For one, is that okay, I'm gonna have to go do another profession. And at that time, because I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I knew like of being a good manager, I wanted to get in the management role because being an entrepreneur, I knew I had to learn certain skills. That management role lasts for 3 months, and then eventually I was faced with, hey, am I gonna be on unemployment after I just graduated and got married? That wasn't happening. And so I remember seeing an ad online, which was a sales job. And that sales job, I was like, because my filter was always through this entrepreneurship. Because as an athlete, people always say, hey, what's plan B? And I was that person that never thought about plan B. But I used to have people that always embedded me, hey, but what if? And so now, because I was living it, I know I needed to take care of my family. And so eventually I ended up going to sales. And then so we fast forward today. But I think, and
no, back up. Hold up.
Go ahead.
What was the first sales job? Like you can't, we're not gonna speed. You gotta go speed past the first sales job. That's like
first sales job. Oh, okay. Hey, I can give you all the stories from that. First sales
we don't need
job.
all the stories. We just need the first sales job and probably one good story or one good rememberable story from that first sales job.
Yeah, because I think it really talked about leadership. So I started doing vector marketing, which was Cutco. That's how they posed themselves as vector marketing in the ad. It was a monster indeed ad. But basically, it was high kitchen cutlery. And it basically was me having this full set of very sharp knives, and I would basically go door to door, knocking on people's houses to see if I could be able to sell them knives. And so that really taught me about perseverance. That taught me about like phones,
Rejection.
rejection. Oh, rejection at its highest point, and even how to overcome. Like in sales, you have how to close people, you have how to call, how to prospect, but then how to overcome objections, which is like when somebody say no, or when you get rejection, is that truly an rejection, or if it's not a rejection? And it that really taught me a lot about when people said no. I remember these knives were it was pretty good knives, $3,000 or $4,000 sets that I would sell. But like
Lifetime
one of the
warranty.
lifetime warranty, made in the USA. And if you
Made in the
still want,
USA. Lifetime
there
warranty.
you go.
Best knives I've ever used.
Hey,
I still use those shears today. To this day, I use them shears.
listen, you cut yourself. Oh, I'm about to die.
Those some
Oh
sharp.
man,
Those some
they are
sharp knives.
they are some sharp knives. You did want me to share one story from sales?
No, just you don't have to say a story. Just like you went from selling Cutco, then you went to selling used cars, and now you're selling real estate. So based on your sales background, for those that may want to go into sales, may want to go into real estate, I know a lot of people like want to go into real estate and don't really know the ins and outs of what it is to be a good, not just a real estate agent, but the fact that you have to know how to sell in general. Like you said, overcoming objections, knowing how to get people, even though they say no, and maybe not no because they don't want the thing, and maybe no because they don't have the money or whatever. So how do those skills from football or sports translate over into you becoming an entrepreneur, sales, real estate?
So I think you have to understand when you're an entrepreneur, you are sales, you are marketing, you're bookkeeping, and you have all these different positions. And so even when I was working for somebody else was responsible for maybe marketing or tracking certain things. But even in sales, I had to really understand how to talk to people. You have to know how to deal with people. And I think when I was an athlete, one thing I did do well, they used to call me Smiley. So I was just the person that would always be talking. I was very talkative. I was a very like just people person. And it as an athlete, that helps you because obviously I build relationships on a team with coaches, but even with with teammates. But I didn't realize how much that would help me in my profession. So learn to deal with people and learn not avoiding people because you see so many athletes like, oh, I don't want to talk to that person. I want to talk to that person. But that's like some objections sometimes is learn how to talk to people you don't want to talk to. Mm-hmm. Because it's been many times I had coaches that I had to have hard conversations with, or I avoided having a hard conversation. And you realize how that shows up in your sales. If you don't want to have a hard conversation in sales, even in your marriage, even just not having those hard conversations actually affected me. And I had to grow at that. I had to learn, I had to go to workshops. And even as an athlete, learning how to train, like training for like practice, like you realize like I practice more than I play the game. And it's just real similar when you're in sales. Like you have to train sales objection. If they say this, what would you say? And I used to train with you. It was like, hey, okay, say this. And I would prepare myself. So if they had a certain response, I was prepared for that. So that type of training, like doing something more than what you play, is the same thing in sales and entrepreneurship. Like preparing for when you're in front of somebody, it's just like game day. It's like, hey, okay, hey, I prepared for this. And so that's why I think one of the biggest correlations as athlete, I think even entrepreneur in sales is literally you need to be able to understand training and coming better for whatever game day is. And it can be a host of things for game day. But for me, it's talking to client and getting the deal closed. Like you can talk all day, but are you going to close a deal? Can you close a deal?
Are you clutch is what you're trying to say.
Is
you closing
clutch?
deals? Are you closing deals? So what outside of that, what else has sports taught you as far as now that you're entrepreneurship? So this is my question. Now that you're entrepreneur, I know when people say athletes, Division I athletes, I can't speak for nobody else, but like, they're the most disciplined. And sometimes I'm like, I cringe because I know I've played with people that ain't really that disciplined. But as an entrepreneur, I know like when we were in sports, people were like, you have to have great time management. And that's such a false, that's false.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, in college, you really don't have good time management unless you're just that person that has good time management. Because your time is already managed for you. For the most part, they've picked out the classes that you should go to. They told you when to show up for weights, when to show up to practice, when to show up for 6 a.m. treatment, stem and ice, my guy. So you really aren't managing your time. You're just showing up to the time that was allotted to you already, or that's already managed for you. Only other thing you might be managing is when you're going to do your schoolwork. And sometimes that's already managed because they're going to be like, hey, you got to go to study hall at this time. So I don't agree when people say you had to have great time management skills. No, not really, because they already had, your life is already scheduled for you as a Division I athlete. And so how is time management, did you have to look at time management different as far as when you become an entrepreneur? Because some people think, an entrepreneur, I make my own schedule. You really work more as an entrepreneur than you do a W-2 employee, because now you do get to make your own schedule. So then it's like you got to be even more disciplined. You don't have nobody telling you got to be here at 8. You got to be here, and then you get the clock out at 5. So walk through that.
Yeah, I think, and you've helped me a lot in this for sure, to just realize, because I would say like a lot of that correlation didn't come naturally to me. Just, hey, how do you become better as an entrepreneur? And we've had many conversations. And I think the thing that has helped me is understanding, like, there's a point A and there's a point B. In order for them to get to A, you got to start B. But no one tells you how long it's going to take from get point A to B and C. So there's a process that is already, you enroll into a process as an athlete. Hey, go to here, go to class here. We're going to have this here. And then after you go there, you can have study. And so you are told what to do. But then when you look at the entrepreneur, it's okay, hey, these are the process you need to be successful. Go make it happen. And you're like, oh, okay, how long do I need to work on this? Or how long do I need to work on that? It's not laid out for you. And sometimes you can spend hours on one task and be like, I still got 4 or 5 other things I have to do. And that's, being entrepreneur, but also building a team. I think there's a difference too. Like when you are entrepreneur and it's all on you, that is, I think, a way you have to start off. But you should always aim to build a team, build people, learn to delegate, because if you're doing everything, I think you can easily may be profitable, but you're a slave to your own business. And I think as an athlete, we don't understand, like you said, how much things are laid out to. Let me ask you this, Shania. What is one thing that you realize that I used to struggle with, that you have to constantly have conversations with about being a good entrepreneur? What are some things you remember always having to remind me, whether it was the beginning or even now?
Time management. So what are you spending your time on? Protecting those time slots so that you might, I didn't get to this. Why didn't you get this? Because this conversation went over this long. But you got to learn how to obviously create those boundaries, keep those time slots, and just making the best use of your time. I think that's the biggest thing. And then obviously discipline and consistency. And so you have to be disciplined and consistent, even though it's mundane, because most people don't like the mundane. They don't like to go through the process. Just the consistency of doing the thing over and over again. Because we're not worried. We know what the end result can be. We're not worried about that. We know we're going to get there. We're worried about starting and being consistent, because then the results is going to happen when you're consistent. And so just that consistency, the time management, and then the best use of your time, and whatever avenue you are in, just the best use of your time.
And I agree with you, obviously. But how do you think, in your mind, from what you've seen, because you are part of this journey with me just as much, so were you saying as an athlete, as a former athlete, they didn't set us up for success, or we didn't have the right mindset to look at it that way? What do you think we struggle if you're a former athlete, and why can't
and
that
you're struggling to transition?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying? I wouldn't say, I can't speak to everybody. I wouldn't say across the board they didn't set us up for success. There are things that we missed out on. We missed out on those, I don't know, you used to have in college campuses, the stuff, I forget what it's called. So we missed out on those kind of, those kind of things. We miss out on those things like a regular student would get. So then we already are at a disadvantage when we do get out into the real world. And I think, again, another misconception is, I think a lot of people think that because somebody played a sport, it translates over into their work ethic after the sport. And I found that to not be always true.
Okay, so I got a lot of things I want to say about that, but why do you believe that's not true?
Because you have athletes that make it to the Division I level.
Okay.
And they make it based on talent. And
Okay.
talent only gets you so far. So if you don't have the work ethic and the discipline behind that, when you get done with basketball, it's gonna show up in your everyday life. It ain't gonna it's just not gonna show up.
And that's why.
So you can get. I've been around people that have gotten solely based on talent to the Division I level, and graduated, and then don't know what to do or what they're good at, or just don't have the discipline to even show. It shows up in their everyday life. Oh, I really wasn't that disciplined. Like they were always on me to get the class on time. They were always on me to do this. So it's going to show up after you stop dribbling the ball, running the track, whatever what sport you in. It's going to show up in your life after sports.
And just to add to that, I think it's a quote that goes something along the lines of, when things get hard, things are difficult, you don't rise to the occasion or to the goal. You fall down to the system or kind of your default mode. And what that says about somebody who is talented, like most of the people, you've seen it. If you're talented, somebody was doing your work. You didn't really learn about a lot of that stuff. But then, like, eventually, if you never choose to progress and become better and you rely solely on your talent, someone who is consistent and understand the process and show up, they don't, over time, they're going to become better than you. Because...
Not your camera gone.
Yeah, my camera didn't went out on me. Sorry about that. Hold on. But the change cameras. So the reality of, like, only one showing up for one, but also being able to understand the difference. And that's the thing. Like I was probably, and to this day, I'm probably not the most talented. And like people, I think ultimately when you realize talent is your main default, for me, like you get it, you expose yourself, and when you rely, I think, on that talent, like we've seen many athletes, like I know people to this day, I'm like, man, you were super skilled, you were super talented, but you never worked on like the IQ of the game, or you never really went in and did a lot of studying, and that showed up when it comes into real life. Did you put that much work in? Because it's going to be just as hard if you're an entrepreneur or if you're in sales. Hey, what do you have to come, like, how do you get better? It's studying and training. And if you never studied or never trained, never worked hard on something, it's just that much hard when you actually are faced with the reality, like, man, I actually got to put in the work to get better at something. And you realize for a moment, your talent can only get you so far. And I'll even say this, it's this book, it's by John Maxwell. It's a 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And he talked about, I thought leadership was leading with like your personality. I thought it was leading with my charismatic. And he was just like, but that's not leadership. Leadership is being able to lead people, help people, and put them in a better position, sometimes better than yourself. Yep. And I don't think we sometimes haven't been modeled leadership. Oh, like for me, I can't even say I actually truly understood what it means to become a good leader. And when you start looking at, okay, how was this displayed to me? And sometimes, to be honest with you, sometimes you have bad coaches that's just weren't good leaders. And that sometimes the default of that is you don't know how to be a good leader in your own life because you thought, oh, I thought that's how my coach used to talk to me, or that's how they used to handle things. And you're going to default to your environment or what you've seen. And I think it's a lot as an athlete, you have to realize, yes, there's a lot of good lessons, but sometimes it's bad that you got to realize you got to now work on it by yourself or on your own and become better at it and not rely on your talent. And if you can't do that, you won't be successful. That's just point blank.
Period. Okay. So so my question to you is, what are some of the things that you think they should put like in place now to help students, athletes transition out better? Like, what could they be putting in place now as they are in the sport when they know they don't get that much exposure to some of the things that normal students get? What are some things that they you think should put in place
I
before
think
they
people,
exit
I think people
the
skills
real
is
world?
one.
People, I'm saying like, what you gonna put in place for people skills though, bro? You just
Okay,
gonna say
well,
people skills?
you're right. Okay, that's fine. So you need to learn how to not only have a conversation with people, but then you need to know how to ask good questions to people and
Right.
listening. Like it's one thing to listen, and it's one thing to talk. I can talk all day and not hear words you say. And I think as an athlete,
Yeah, but I'm asking you though, like in the college level, like what should they be doing now? Not as a personal person, because I'm in college, I'm 18. I'm not gonna just go, you didn't, and I didn't. Just gonna go, oh, let me go seek how to become a better question asker. No, like
that's how it goes.
so you're
So
not going to go seek that information
okay,
normally.
so
A normal average athlete student. What do you think they should? And I know right now we got NIL. Say they don't. We not gonna discuss NIL really. Just like your basic skills that you need to thrive after sports in the how to build relationships. So what does that look like? How do we do that? What are some things that they should be learning? I guess not necessarily what the college should put in place, but like you were going, I shouldn't cut you off, but like you were going, it's like, so what are the things you think you should need to learn? Learn, it's like seeking out mentorship, one, showing them how to build relationships, how to communicate effectively. And my thing is like, what else do you like outside of your sport? Because I ain't like nothing else but basketball. And look at me now, 37, no, still don't know what I'm doing. But some of stuff like that. What are some of the things outside of that you think like, if it's a college senior gonna graduate, they listen to the podcast. What are some things that you can tell them? Hey, maybe your last semester, your last 2 semesters in college, make sure you do these 5 things.
Yeah, I think for one, you need to be curious about just things outside of sports. Like I think if you're an athlete, thinking of the question, like thinking of, okay, what else interests me besides sports? And that's learning how to, if you're an entrepreneur, so I'm an entrepreneur, I'm gonna speak as an entrepreneur, and what are the things I wish I could have learned or been a part of? And sometimes this is a part of college, and I think there's a distance between if you're an athlete and you're a normal student, and sometimes if you would get some of these things if you were a normal student, and because you're an athlete, you're missing out on probably some of the things that they're allowing or they're doing as a normal athlete, excuse me, as a normal student. So I think for one, like you need to learn how to be curious of things outside of sports. Because when your life is surrounded around that, you don't know how to think outside of that. And so I think a lot of people become very doomed very quickly because they don't know what else to do with their life.
Yeah.
They like, and this is why I think a lot of people end up just coaching the sport that they play because they don't know anything else.
Yeah, they don't know anything else. That's true.
And so I think that, and that leads to understanding the power of visionary and strategic thinking. What does it mean to think strategically? Most people don't know, oh, if I do this, then what happens next? And because most kids come to school, and I hate this because most people come on a whim like, hey, either I want to make it to the next level. And I think, and then today, right now, they like, I just want to get a check. But like, like
Stroke
money
that check,
skills.
my guy.
Yeah, and so money skills, like how do you actually, okay, now how can I learn how to use the money that I have and put myself in a better position? Because here's the thing, you're always going to have some level of work that you're going to have to do. And I was been a part of one of the real estate.
Yeah, so back up real quick. So now that that's I almost forgot where we live. Now that we live in College Station, we have Texas A&M down the road, and we are in the age of NIL money.
Mhm.
What can you talk through us, like you said, know how to manage money? So what have you ran into as far as kids knowing or not knowing what to do with their NIL money? And what have you seen them doing or not doing? Or is there a lack of education at the university? Just walk through that, since I know you've dealt with some of the athletes up at Texas A&M.
Yeah, and that's why I think I was hitting on is just like money management and learning about taxes, assets, how to protect you from those taxes. And you realize a lot of these a lot of these athletes, like they come from broken homes where they never even knew anything about money. And a lot of these students now, their mom and dad are looking for them to be able to make it so they can take care of them.
Yeah.
And I think it's just been exposed on what if someone made it to the NFL, this is
Happening
how
at
they
the college level.
yeah, it's happening in college when someone comes straight out of high school, when they're even much more younger and now probably have had to carry that responsibility just to make it, but now I think the shift is like now much earlier. So I think a lot of the same necessary skills that you need money management. You need to know how to strategic think. You need to learn how to visionary. You need to know how to deal with people because so many people's going to come in your face and say, "Oh, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me?" And if you're going to put your face in front of people, then how are you going to use that money to take care of your family after everybody is gone? Because guess what? After you graduate, if you don't make it to the league, it's no more NIL. And so then what are you doing and what did you do with everything you have? Because I've heard several athletes, they take the money, they go to strip clubs, they go live the glorious life. And it's like you're doing that at an early age, but people have blown $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in one night. And I'm just thinking now, like, how at that young of an age being exposed to that much money,
Yeah.
how can I find better ways to use it? And why I say learning people skills, because you got to learn who to trust and who not to trust. And you got to learn that very early on. And understanding that opens up a gateway to who is really there, who really care about me, and who also just want to get a check from me. And I think it's a character flaw, right? And so learning to build your own character, I think is super, super important. But so yeah, so dealing with athletes here and just
Do you see, is it that if the vast majority, I guess we can answer this question ourselves, but is there many athletes that are actually trying to buy assets with their NIL money? Or is it just it's like a small percentage that are already exposed, or somebody in their family exposed them to that, or somebody told them about it, or is it
if they have not had if someone in their life hasn't at least opened them up to it,
yeah? Okay.
they're not trying to hear anything because who are you?
No, I just was wondering to know
Yeah,
if
like that's
right,
their mentality. Who are
yeah,
you? Like,
right,
why should I listen to you? Like, who
correct,
are you to all of a sudden come to me and tell me how to spend my money? I ain't never seen you until today.
right,
So that's an issue. So
yeah.
yeah, that's it. But anyways, we can talk a lot about
No, I
NIL,
just
but
was curious about that. So before wrapping up, can you give us like 4 or 5 nuggets for the, like I said, for the senior that's graduating, they don't necessarily know what they're gonna do. They know they're not playing sports anymore, and they're about to enter this real world, and they're stuck. Like I could go back home, go coach middle school, high school, or whatever they want to do. But like, what are some things that you think is valuable, regardless of what path they take, whether that's not necessarily, I say what path to take, but like whatever sport they're coming from and whatever path they're taking, what are like some nuggets for any sport, any kid that's about to graduate and that's not going professional in their sport?
be able to put yourself in a good environment. So it's a work environment, and that means like if you are wanting to be good at anything, immerse yourself in studying about that field, whether it's accounting, whether it's business, whether it's art. Immerse yourself with other people who are very successful at building something, whether it's an organization, whether it's a company. Like study those type of people. And I think all athletes have studied somebody else that has played the game. Take that same mindset and
Mm-hmm.
study what you're interested in.
Yep.
I think that's important. I think a second thing is be okay with not going back home. That may be controversial, but I think like sometimes it's very comfortable to go back home
Yeah.
for most people. And I was like curious of what else was out there. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, I obviously went away from school. So be okay with getting in new environments because it forces you to lean on that. Hey, I have to set a good foundation for myself. So be okay with not being home. I think three is finding, I think environment in the work environment is important, but also in your personal space. Finding good people that care about your character. As a believer, I have driven the importance of being a part of a healthy church
Yep.
because it actually helped shape who you are becoming. And to be honest with you realize like you learn bad habits, what you thought it was to be a believer or what you thought it was to be a Christian. And you realize, hey, I have to relearn that. And I have to do that with people. Like you can't, I don't care what nobody say, you cannot learn and grow
by yourself.
isolated. You can't.
Or you can to a certain extent. Like it's short lived. You're gonna hit cap at one point, but like the best environment to do that in is in community. Yes, you only can go so far by yourself, and that's not only in just your growth spiritually. That's this in anything.
Yeah, I think community is like being in a community outside of your work environment. And the reason I say different from your personal and community, because I think how you develop as a person, it actually goes into how you do everything else. And how I used to do it was backwards. I'm like, hey, if I work this, I thought then it would into, and then it was like people don't want to be around you if you just want to talk about work all day. And so I think those are the top things. And I think because of environment and work, get away from home, and also your community. And I think fourth, marry an athlete. Now that's just my thing.
Anyway.
No, I think that's super important. And yeah, if you marry an athlete, it's fun. If y'all both athletic. But we've been married since we was in college, and someone made it very clear. I got married early. I'm like, yeah, I didn't really think it was early, but I guess now.
Yeah, 21, my guy. That's early. Yeah. It's almost, and we're what? You what? About 40, and I'm 30. But are you 38? I'm 37. So October will be 15. So I guess we have been married a long time.
Yeah, but I do think, like I say all that aside, it has been fun and exciting to be married to someone that you went to college with, but who also still has the same passion and level of like in your faith and also in life and want to represent. And I think that makes a difference in how you show up and why you show up. That's a bonus tip. Everybody can't do that, but even if it's not an athlete, just somebody who disagree with me or not, but someone who like to take care of their body. It's like just because the athlete, and I say that because I don't care. Like someone's not going to what I'm about to say, but it's someone who's willing to at least take care of their body. Now, everyone has medical things, right? So I'm not speaking to that, but I'm saying like if you make the conscious choice to say, I'm just as a former athlete, just to give up on everything. And you know life what it takes.
Life be life, and no, life be life. And so we not gonna go down there. Life be life.
Life and be life. But what you realize is like you're in control of a few things. You're in control of how you handle life. And I think no one who's listening to this is not unable to get up and do something to push themselves mentally. And I think if you're an athlete and you are somebody who have taken out the time to train your body and see what your body's gonna look like, what it feels like, you have that personal experience that no one can take from you.
No.
And to let that go downhill, I think you have to ask yourself the hard question, like, have I fell in this form of self-pity that I'm just, woe is me, because you haven't became a championship or you haven't become to the level of where you're at by not overcoming something. And I think you can continue to do that in how you take care of your body.
Gotcha. I don't think I have any last questions for you, guy. But do you have any questions for me before we end this episode of a returning episode? You got the returning episode coming back.
Listen, I'm about to come in. What would you say? How has it been being married to someone who is a very opposite from you? So me and you are two different personalities.
For sure.
So what because you can go.
How is this related to the podcast is what I'm trying to figure out.
A lot of people going to marry athletes or thinking about marrying an athlete. And I think for people who want to be married to athletes, and whether they're Christian or not, what are some things they need to expect?
I don't know what they need to expect because it just depends on the athlete. I'm different than most people. So where's your original question? How is it being married to an athlete, or how is it being married to somebody that has a separate person, the opposite personality? Which one you want me to answer?
You can go with the personality. I think that's easier for
the personality. People. I think because we are absolutely total like polar opposite. At first, it's certain things like obviously when you first get married, like that really irked my nerves just because it's like I wouldn't do it that way. So I'm so like, obviously you're more outgoing, and I'm outgoing around people that I'm comfortable with. I'm not outgoing just naturally around anybody. You're just outgoing regardless of who's around. So certain things like that, like I may be here, we want to go, and you still want to talk. And so like at first that stuff bothered me in the beginning, and then like even this, I tell people this story all the time. Like I remember when we first got married, and we go to the airport, and it's like I'm going straight to the gate. Like I'm not gonna miss my flight. But I look up and I have no idea where you went. Like you're somewhere wandering around in the airport. And so they used to get on my nerves. I'm like, bro, go sit down somewhere. And so now I'm just like, it's normal. And I just got used to it. It's just normal. Like they be like, where's Jahbari at? He gonna show back up sooner or later. Like he went somewhere. But other than that, I just think,
What happened?
You're fine. You messing? What are you doing? I'm still recording, Jahbari. We have to take that out. Anyway, so
Airport.
as far as I explained that part, but like just going around the airport, knowing you'll show up. But anyway, over time, like it's certain things I'm like, it's really me. It was my so what I've realized is like it was my preference on how I wanted things and not necessarily your preference. And so getting over like that kind of preference when it comes to things like that. But other than that, I think my personality is boring enough, and your personality is like lively enough. If I was to marry myself, we would be absolutely boring. But I think a little mixture of both. But honestly, most of not only you, but like most of the friends I have your personality. So it's just like I'm a person like I don't need center of attention. I don't need nobody. Have all of that. You can have it all. So I will never like be in the competition or compete for the spotlight, if you say, because I don't want it anyway. So it's worked out so far. So it's just those little quirks that kind of got on my nerves in the beginning. But now I'm just like, it is what it is. Like I'm not going to be all up in orange. You wouldn't up in orange. I'm up in orange about it. So after a while, I just was like, whatever. Jahbari gonna wonder. He gonna come back sooner or later. He whatever.
Absolutely. That's good. I think that's you hit it spot on. I don't want to add on to anything, but
Yeah.
And that was the thing, like understanding, I think each other, but also understanding how to accept. Okay, this is how you are. This is how you wired.
Yeah.
And I think there's a meeting in the middle, right? Like you have
Yeah,
to
not trying to actually change that person to be like me. It's like I wanted you to be more like me because it's just, bruh, I'm over here chill. You need to be chill out. But that would be requiring you to change who you are as a person. And then like you could be like, you not lively enough, bruh, come on. Then that would require me. You trying to make me like you, and I'm not. I'm not you,
Right.
And it's okay, and it's fine. We're two separate individuals. That don't mean because we married that we gotta like the same thing, do the same thing, be the same thing. Like we can still have our own personal preferences and still be happily married. We don't have to. I don't have to like Avatar because you like Avatar. No.
Oh man.
I like go play. I like to go watch it. And then FYI, Jahbari really don't like basketball. He only watches basketball because I played it. Like I like to go to the basketball games. Jahbari don't like to go to the basketball games. That's not his best life.
I enjoy.
You take a book and read a book. Besides,
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that.
You don't really like basketball. It's okay. You only like it because I didn't really like football like that until I dated. I was out there because I was dating you, not because I never went to the football games. It's okay.
Right now, we have a very different relationship. I don't really look at no sports.
I really don't look like at sports either like that, but I do like to go to a good women's basketball game. And so I went to Texas A&M. Whenever Texas A&M playing a great team, because Texas A&M ain't that great, but when they playing a great team, like when they play Vanderbilt, I had to go see number one. And so she's a great basketball player. So I just want to go see great basketball.
Yeah, and so I think that hits to the point of what you're saying. Like y'all have different interests, like different things that's gonna.
Y'all like it's somebody else.
Me, y'all, whoever is married and have.
Oh yeah, but we were just talking about me. It sounded weird.
Yeah, well, listen, the people who listen to this understood. I'm just talking to your audience, ma'am.
I got you, but I'm just saying. Anyway, if you ain't got nothing else.
Listen. I'll say this before we started this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You made it very clear to me. Hey, look, we not here doing all that extra stuff. Now I gave you my.
This not the Jahbari show. That's what I said. This ain't the Jahbari show.
So if you don't have any more questions, ma'am, I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be able to be on More 94. Hopefully,
it's been quite the pleasure having you on.
Yes,
I'm glad you made the cut.
It's
hard out here. It's hard out here to make the cut.
Hey, it is. And so I'm happy I get to go home with you now.
Anyway, that's a wrap.